This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's a great honor to be here. I've had the zchus to speak here a number of times, but it's a special privilege to be here right before the Yom Tov of Shavuos. So literally we're preparing for the last days of the Omer. 2 more days of the Omer. You know, there's a question, why are there 49 days of Sfira? Where does the number 49 come from? Actually, if you look in Pirkei Avos, in the 6th parak, which is technically not really part of Pirkei Avos consists of 5 parakim of the Mishnah. The 6th parak is Braisais, Shanu Chachamim B'Lashon HaMishnah. How many kinyanei Torah are there? They're memches kinyanim, they're 48 kinyanim. Presumably, there's a connection between the 48 kinyanim and the days of Sfira. We usually associate the days of Sfiras HaOmer with the 48 kinyanim of Torah. But the question is, but they're 49 days of Sfira. So if you're supposed to use each day for one of the kinyanim, so what happens on the 49th day? You have a day off? Is that, how do we account for the 49th day of Sfira? So it's very interesting. Both the Sifrei Chasidus and the Sifrei Musar, Chidush Arim writes, and Rabbi Yisrael Salanter is quoted as saying that the 49th day, the last day of Sfira, is the Yom HaKoilel. On the 49th day of Sfira, we're supposed to make a cheshbon, a din v'cheshbon, where we kaina Torah with all the 48 ways. We, so to speak, we go over all the memches kinyanei Torah to see where we're holding with them. But it's interesting, Rabbi Yosef Engel has a different take on this. What's the pshat in the 49 days of Sfira? Why are there 48 kinyanim of Torah? Where does this number 48 come from? Where else do we have the number memches? The Gemara Megillah says there are 48 Nevi'im that stood up for Klal Yisrael. What's the inyan that there are 48 Nevi'im? So Rabbi Yosef Engel says like this. The Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, Nun Shari Bina Nivru Ba'ilam, there are 50 gates of wisdom in the world. Kulan Nitnu L'Moshe Chasar Achas. They're all given to Moshe except for one, Shenemar, Vatachasreyu Ma'ad Me'alekim. So the 50 gates, and Moshe has 49. So Yosef Engel says like this. There's an idea that a yachid always has to be at least one less than the tzibor. Where do we learn this from? It's a Mishnah Menachos. The Mishnah says, what's the most amount of Yisarain that could fit in one container? So the Mishnah says that on Sukkot, that Shabbos, you have to bring menachos of 61 Yisarain. The tzibor brings 61 Yisarain. Therefore, says the Mishnah, if a yachid wants to bring a mincha, a yachid could only pack in 60 Yisarain into one container. Why? Daya liyachid to be one less than the tzibor. So the tzibor is 61, and a yachid will be 60. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, from here we see the tzibor will be one less, the yachid will be one less than the tzibor. Moshe Rabbeinu has a din of the tzibor of Klal Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu is shakal, keneged shishim ribai. If there are 50 gates of wisdom, and Moshe had 49, that means that for everybody else, what we could access is at most 48 ways of wisdom. Because Moshe is like the tzibor, and we're all yechidim. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, you know why there are 48 Nevi'im? There are 48 Nevi'im because Moshe could access 49. So if Moshe could access 49, then everybody else could only access 48. That's why there are 48 kinyanei Torah. That's why there are 48 Nevi'im. Ready for this? Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, he revolutionized, by the way, regards from Rabbi Yosef Engel. I was just in Vienna, I was at the kever of Rabbi Yosef Engel. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, a revolutionary pshat in the Gemara Shabbos, Moshe hoisif yom echad midatoi. Pasha pshat is, Moshe hoisif yom echad midatoi. Then Moshe added that really the Torah, the Rebbeinu Shalom comes down on the 50th day. He wants to give the Torah to Klal Yisrael. Moshe said, no, thank you, not yet. We're not ready yet. Let's do it tomorrow. By the way, you know, this coming Tuesday night, when everybody gathers together for the Yom Tov of Shavuos, I want to ask you, historically, what happened on Wednesday? What happened on the first day of Shavuos historically? Nothing at all. Nothing ever happened on that day. Nothing happened. The Torah wasn't given on that day. All the Achronim ask, why in the world are you saying Zman Matan Torah Seinu on Wednesday? It wasn't given on Wednesday, it was given on Thursday. Ad Kedei Kach, Magen Avraham brings from the Ramami Pano, the Torah was given on Thursday. So actually it comes out, the Iker Shavuos is the Yom Tov Sheni Shel Golia. So don't feel so bad that you're stuck in Chutz La'aretz, because actually you get to celebrate the day the Torah was given. In Eretz Yisrael, they're off by only one day. I guess maybe you could be off by one. The Iker Kabbolas Hatorah was Thursday, not Wednesday. That's the Pashup Shat. Moshe Hoisif Yom Echad Meidatai. It was supposed to be given on day 50, and it was given on day 51. We left Mitzrayim on a Thursday. The Torah was given on Shabbos. But Rabbi Yosef Engel has a different take on this. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, Moshe Rabbeinu looks at Klal Yisrael. He says, I got 49. You could only access 48 dimensions of Torah. So really there should be 48 days of Sfira. Moshe said, I'm going to throw you a bone. I'm going to add a day of Sfira. That even though Al Pi Derech Eretz, if I'm 49, you can only get 48, I'll let you access 49 as well. So the 49th day of Sfira, says Rabbi Yosef Engel, is a gift from Moshe Rabbeinu. I saw Rav Asher Weiss has also an interesting take on day 49 of Sfira. After all, if we were kind of Torah, the Talmud, somebody once asked, what's the first step to learning? First step? You've got to open up the book. It doesn't happen by the you got to learn. So after 48 days, after 48 kinyanim, what are you supposed to do on day 49? So Gemara says in Masechta Nida, Ma'yasa adam yachkam, what could a person do and become wise? So Gemara says, Yarba v'yeshiva v'yimah b'schaira. Learn a lot and work less. The Gemara, Harba asakein v'lei hol b'yadam. Many people have tried this. Doesn't work for everybody. Elo yavakish rachamim l'misha hachachma shalai. You have to daven. I'm going to ask you a personal question now. Any volunteers? I personally would not volunteer to answer this question. Just checking if I have any volunteers. I want to ask you a personal question. When you daven Shema Koleinu, when you stand at the Kaisel HaMaravi, when you go to Kivrei Tzadikim, and you have your laundry list of things you daven for, I want to know, where on that list is Ribbonu Shalom, please help me understand your Torah? Where on the list is that? It's supposed to be number one? The most important thing to daven for in this world. So what do we daven for? So people, what do? They fool themselves. They start off, Ribbonu Shalom, I should have Yiddish Nachas. Obviously you're going to start with that because you don't want to look like a fool in front of the Ribbonu Shalom, so you start with that. And then you say, I need good health, I need shidduchim, I need parnasa, kesef, mamain, cash, real estate, money, parnasa. What about Torah? What's the most important thing to daven for in this world? Says the Gemara, Al zois yispalel kol chosid eilecha le'eis mitzay. For this, every righteous person should daven, ein zois ela Torah, more than anything else in the entire universe. Anything else that you need, the most important thing to daven for is the Torah itself. A person could learn, a person could be amel, a person could put in yigiyah, a person could be a chacham. Without tefillah, it is impossible to accomplish in limud Torah. You know what day 49 is? After your kaina Torah, you've attempted to be kaina Torah with memches kinyanim. Day 49 is Yevakesh Rachamim Mimi Shehachachma Shaloi. You know the story of the guy? He's sitting in his office. He's in a penthouse in Manhattan, and he's comfortable. He's lying. He's sitting back, and the air conditioner is on, and he has a cup of water on his table, and he has ice in it, and a straw, and a lemon. And a guy walks by, and the guy sitting there in the office, he starts crying, "Please, merciful friend, have mercy on me." "What do you want? You okay?" "Peach Snapple! Peach Snapple! Have rachamim on me! Peach Snapple!" What do you tell this guy? You're out of your mind. You need therapy. You're asking for mercy for Peach Snapple? You're comfortable. You have water. What do you need exactly? You don't ask for mercy. You could say, "I'm a rich, spoiled guy. It's not good enough for me to have water. I want Peach Snapple." But you don't ask for mercy. You know who asks for mercy? A guy who's in a desert and he's dying. And after 71 hours, he hasn't had any hydration, and he sees somebody with a cup of water. Does he say, I was just wondering, you think you could spare a little bit? Do you ask that way? We would tell a guy who's about to die, and he asks, "Well, I was just wondering if you have any extra water." We also tell him, "You've lost it." Because if you're desperate, that's not how you ask. You have to ask for rachamim. The Chafetz Chaim observed, of all the tefillos that we offer in the entire Siddur, do you know what tefillah we invoke rachamim more than anything else? Avinu of Harachaman, Hamirachem, Rachem Aleinu. What are we about to ask for? For health? No. For refuah? No. For shidduchim? No. We're asking the Rebbe Shalom to help us understand the Torah. So on your laundry list of bakashos and tefillos, number 1 on the list has to be v'sein b'libeinu lahavin ulahaskel. The Gemara tells us in Masechta Pesachim. There was a man by the name of Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes would review his learning every 30 days. So Rav Chaim Kanievsky, once a year. Rav Sheshes, every 30 days. By the Chazonish once said that the Shagas Aryeh was able to chazer over the Shas in 30 minutes. He said, "What? In 30 minutes?" Yeah, in 30 minutes you could chazer the Ikar Yisodos of Shas. But to really chazer it well, Rav Sheshes was able to do it in 30 days. When the 30 days were over, says the Gemara, Tali v'koi be'iver dedasha. He would go up to the top of a ship. V'amar, he would say, Chadoi nafshoi, Chadoi nafshoi. He would say, "Rejoice, my soul, rejoice, my soul." He would say, L'cha karoi, I learn Chumash for you. L'cha tanoi, I learn Mishnah for you. That's what Reb Sheshes would say. He would talk to himself. He would say, "My soul, rejoice, because when I, Reb Sheshes, learn, I learn for you." Frak the Gemara, Eini, that's not correct. V'amar Rabbi Elazar el Molei Torah lo neskaimu shamayim va'aretz. He learned for himself. Reb Sheshes learned for himself. Don't we know that when you learn, you uphold Shamayim v'aretz, the world stands on Limud HaTorah. If there would be a moment of time that nobody was learning, the world would cease to exist. Reb Chaim Volozhiner says the reason why there are time zones is so that not a moment goes by without Limud HaTorah. What's Reb Sheshes saying? I learn for myself, I learn Chumash for myself, I learn Mishnah for myself. Don't you learn to uphold the whole world? Listen to the answer. Me'ikara. What does me'ikara mean? Anyone want to give a try? Me'ikara. What? Good. Initially, in the beginning, Ki avid inish, when a person learns, adaita denavshe ka'avid, they learn for themselves. Me'ikara, in the beginning, when you learn for yourself. So one simple question. Rav Sheshes was a beginner. Rav Sheshes was an Amoira. Rav Sheshes could go to a Beis HaKvaros, look at the person, and they would get up. Rav Sheshes could be Meshana the Bria. Rav Sheshes, Kol ha'olam oimed al Torasa shel Rav Sheshes. And the Gemara is saying, well, in the beginning, when you learn, you should learn for yourself. The thing is, Rav Sheshes is not a beginner. What does the Gemara mean? Me'ikara. Comes the Goin al HaTorah, and the Goin says a chidush nifla. This is something that many are not aware of. You know, when we come to Limud HaTorah, and we ask ourselves, why do we learn? Why do we learn? We usually think there are two kinds of mitzvahs. There's bein adam lamakayim, and there's bein adam lachaver. But the Gra says, aren't al shloisha dvarim ha'olam ha'omed al haTorah ve'al avoda ve'al gemilas chasadim. Says the Gra, let's talk about avoda, tefillah. What is tefillah? Tefillah is bein adam lamakayim. It's between you and God. What about gemilas chasadim? Gemilas chasadim, bein adam l'chaveroi. Says the Gra, so what's Torah? What's Torah? Is it between you and the Ribbon Shalom? Or is it between you and your friend? I don't know, if I have a chavrusa, maybe it's between me and my friend. No, what if you don't have a chavrusa? Then the Gemara says there are three cardinal sins. There's avodah zara, gilui arayos, shvichas damim. What's avodah zara? Bein adam lamakayim. What's shvichas damim? It's between you and your friend, right? It's very hard to have a relationship with somebody if you kill them. You know, they did a lot of studies on this. That if you kill somebody, it's hard to get along with. It's hard to have a good, solid relationship. It's hard to have a meaningful relationship with somebody that you kill. So ritzicha is bein adam l'chaveroi. And what's arayos, says the Gra? So the Goin has a chidush nifla. Says the Goin, you know what Torah is? Torah is not bein adam lamakayim. Torah is not bein adam lachaveroi. Torah is bein adam la'atzmai. Arayos is not bein adam lachaveroi. It's not bein adam lamakayim. It's bein adam la'atzmai. Like the pasuk says, noyef isha chasar lev. Immodest behavior destroys your own neshama. It's not about what you do to someone else. It's not between you and the Ribbon Shalom. It's about what you do to yourself. Torah is not bein adam lamakayim. You're not learning Torah for the Ribbon Shalom. Torah is one mitzvah that's bein adam la'atzmai. What does that mean, bein adam la'atzmai? The Ribbon Shalom created you. What could you accomplish? What could I accomplish? What could a person do with their life? How high could a person rise? How great could a person become? The answer is the Ribbon Shalom created every individual, b'tselem Elokim. You're a chelek Elokam imal, which means the heights you could scale, the greatness you could reach is infinite. So then how come I'm just over here? How do I catapult myself? How do I access the infinite greatness that lies dormant within me? How do I unlock the chelek Elokam imal, the divine greatness that rests in my neshama? What's the mafteach? What's the key? Says the Goin, Torah is bein adam la'atzmai. The way you could access and unlock your infinite greatness is limud HaTorah. Otherwise, you just remain like this. Torah is a mitzvah bein adam la'atzmai. In other words, when I'm thinking, what should I do right now? I really want to do something for the Ribbon Shalom. No, that's not why you're learning. I really want to do something for the whole world. No, that's not why you're learning. You're learning for yourself. So what does the Gemara mean, me'ikara? We usually translate the word me'ikara in the beginning, but me'ikara has a more basic definition. You know what me'ikara means, says the Gaon? Me'ikara means fundamentally. Ikar, fundamentally, al pi hayesoid. Fundamentally, a person learns for themselves. It's bein adam la'atzmai, to be what you could be, to access what you need to access, to become what you need to become. You need Torah Seinu HaKadoshah. Avada, without the Torah, the world couldn't exist. You know, Rabbi Chanan asks, you have Elu Dvarim, Sha'adam Oichel Peiroisem Ba'olam Hazeh Va'akern Ke'emes L'olam Haba. You ever wonder? Usually there's a principle, Schar B'hayam Oleka, the Gemara says in Erevin. You don't get reward in this world. So why are there certain mitzvahs that a person eats the peiros in Olam Hazeh? So the Rambam on the Mishnah says that if you do a mitzvah that benefits somebody in this world, you do chesed, gemilas chasadim, bikor chaylim, hachnosas kala, levayas hames, you do something good that has a benefit in this world, you could be sure the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to pay you back in this world. Quid pro quo, measure for measure, mida keneged mida. So frekt Rabbi Chanan, what's Torah doing here? Who am I benefiting when I learn? Torah doesn't belong here. Everything else in the Mishnah is gemilas chasadim. Says Rabbi Chanan, the greatest thing you could do for the whole world, the greatest act of chesed, the greatest altruism you could do is limud Torah, because you literally uphold the whole world, you bring bracha to the whole world. However, the Gemara is saying, fundamentally we learn for ourselves. It's for our benefit. It's to elevate ourselves, to access the divine greatness that rests within us. That's one aspect of limud Torah. There's another aspect. Your favorite minhag on Shavuos. You know, if you made the mistake and you opened up one of these Jewish magazines, you would think the main avodah of the Yom Tov of Shavuos is to eat cheesecake. It's a very important minhag. Very important. Does anybody know what's the earliest record of the minhag of eating chalav on Shavuos? The Kalbai. The Kalbai is the first Rishon who brings down the minhag of having dairy on Shavuos. And what's the reason for the minhag, says the Kalbai? Says the Kalbai because the pasuk says in Shir Shiurim, Devash v'chalav tachas l'shaynech. The Torah is so sweet, it's so delicious, it's so meaningful. It's like honey and milk. I remember when I was a bacher, I used to go to Harav Victor Miller, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, and he would say, you know, there are two types of tastes in this world. There's a honey taste, there's a milk taste. And the combination of these two tastes produces the most delectable taste known to man. Devash v'chalav tachas l'shaynech. In fact, what's the first letter of the Torah? The Beis. What's the last letter of the Torah? Lamed. What are the middle letters of the Torah? So the Gemara says the ches of gachain, the ches and the vav, and the daroish darash, the shin and the daled. Says the Chassam Sofer. Take the first letter, last letter, the four middle letters, it spells out dvash v'chalav, dvash v'chalav. The Torah is through and through, honey and milk, honey and milk. You know, the Avnei Nezer famously asks the Shiur in Shulchan Aruch, in Hilchos Nadarim, if you make a neder, you're not going to get hana from your friend. You say, Ploini, I aser myself, I can't get hana from you. You allowed to blow his shofar? You could blow his shofar. Why are you allowed to blow his shofar? I'm using it for a mitzvah. The answer is, mitzvahs, lav, lahenos nitno. What if you aser your friend, I'm not going to get hana from your lulav. You allowed to use your friend's lulav? Avada, you could use your friend's lulav. Mitzvahs, lav, lahenos nitno. But what if I say, I'm not going to get hana from your sefer? Are you allowed to learn from the guy's sefer? You're not allowed to learn from the guy's sefer. Why not? Mitzvah slav lehenois nidnu. That's the famous kasha of the Avnei Nezer. In the Hakdama of the Eglei Tal, by the way, regards from the Avnei Nezer. I was just at his kever in Sachachav. In the Avnei Nezer was a son-in-law of the Kotzker, and at the end of his life he was very ill, and he felt bad he could not be Mekayim Harbatzas Torah, so he figured he'll write a sefer, maybe some people will learn it, and he'll be Zoicha to be Marbitz Torah through his sefer. So Eglei Tal asks the stira in Yeridea. Says the Eglei Tal, there's a very big mistake out there. Many people think the more painful the learning is, the more oppressive the shiur, the more tif the svara that I have no idea what the Maggid shiur is talking about, the more schar you get for learning. The less you have any clue what's going on, the more torturous it is, the more I'm really learning Torah Lishma. And the Avnei Nezer says just the opposite. The more you enjoy the learning, the more hana you get from it. The more delicious it is, the more Lishma it is. Says Avnei Nezer, when it comes to other mitzvahs, lav lehenois nitnu, they were not given to be nene from. When it comes to limud Torah, the tzura of the mitzvah is to be nene from the learning. Meaning, if you learn and you don't enjoy it fully, chasar beikar kiyam ha-mitzvah. The purpose of the mitzvah, the tzura of the mitzvah, there's no mitzvah to learn. It's not the mitzvah. There's no mitzvah to open up a Gemara. That's not the mitzvah. That's not a mitzvah. The Rebbe Shalom never gave that mitzvah. The mitzvah is to be nene from the learning, to enjoy the learning. It's not even an aspect of the learning. It's me'ikr tzuras ha-mitzvah. So we have these two aspects of Talmud Torah. We have an idea that me'ikara ki avid inish adaita denavshe ka'avid. That fundamentally we learn for ourselves. We learn for our own benefit. We learn to be mashlim ourselves, to bring out our own greatness. There's an idea that we learn because it's enjoyable. We're nene from the learning. You know the famous scientific experiment that the Chavetz Chaim talks about? Actually, somebody sent me a message today. If I could explain how to perform this experiment. So I tell the truth, I never tried it actually. But Nemon Aleinu HaChavetz Chaim, that the Chavetz Chaim says, why is the Torah nimshal al advash? You know what the Chavetz Chaim says? There's an amazing halacha in Yeridea that if you have a piece of treif meat, you know that honey looks like an innocuous food. But honey is so powerful that if a piece of bread would fall into honey, it would disintegrate and it would become honey. Moreover, if you have a piece of meat that falls into honey, it would disintegrate and dissolve, and you could eat the honey, you're not fleishiks. But even more, the Chafetz Chaim writes in the Hakdama to Likutei Halachos. Now don't try this at home, I never tried it. I don't know exactly how much honey you need, but the Chafetz Chaim writes, you go to McDonald's. Now the Chafetz Chaim doesn't say McDonald's, because McDonald's has many branches. I don't think it made it to Rodden yet. But if it would have, and a cheeseburger would fall into a pot of honey, what do you do with the honey? Says the Chafetz Chaim, you eat the honey. This is not a drush. This is what he writes in Kutei Halachos. Halacha l'maisa. Now I can't tell you. I never did it. I never tried it. I don't know how much honey. I don't know how much time. That's you. I'm just tein lechacham v'yech gamoid. You eat the honey. The Torah has such a power of masikos that you could take a guy. He could be an arrogant, angry, jealous, bad guy, and he immerses himself in limud Torah. Now, I'm here to give you some personal advice. Considering that tomorrow I'll go home, so you don't have to look at me anymore. People have these things called phones. Okay? the best advice you will ever get in your life is that when you learn, you don't have the phone on you. Because there's no way to immerse yourself in the honey. If you're tethered to the phone, then you're not in the honey. Come on, between the two of us. If your phone is on, what % of your attention are you giving to the davening or the learning? At any second, the phone could buzz, it could ring, it could be anything. Yeah? In 1 hour, you could get 97 solicitations for a charity campaign. What % are you giving over to the Torah? 30%, 32%. Says the Chafetz Chaim, the Torah is machshartoi liyos tzaddik. The Torah is like honey. If you immerse yourself in it, it kashers you to be a tzaddik. But you have to immerse yourself in it. You have to be not just rubai kukulai. It's like a mikvah. You bring your phone into the mikvah? You're holding the phone in the mikvah? You're toivel v'sharatz biyadai? You don't bring the phone into, so how could you bring it in with you when you're immersing in the Torah? Sooner hold on to the phone in the mikvah. I'd rather you hold 90 phones in the mikvah than have one phone on you, however much time you're learning a day. If you could learn an hour a day, learn it without the phone. If you could learn 5 minutes a day, be toivel completely in the mei hadas of Torah. Otherwise, ein lecha chatzitza gedoyla mizu. People wonder, I don't understand. I'm learning and I don't feel different. I don't feel changed. Now let's re-examine the first premise. I'm learning. No, but you didn't enter. You didn't go in. So you have these two aspects of Limud Torah. We learn fundamentally for ourselves the sweetness of Torah. But I want to share with you one aspect of learning that's very interesting. The Gemara Masechta Shabbos tells us, that was all a decoy, the first segment of the share. The Gemara in Shabbos tells us, Lachar mea v'esrim shana, they ask a person, Nasasa v'nasata be'amuna, kavati itim l'Torah. Were you koiveya itim l'Torah? What's the inyan of being koiveya itim l'Torah? We have to be koiveya itim l'Torah. I learn in koilel. I learn the whole day. I have to be koiveya, or I go to work and I learn every free minute. What's the idea? What's the reason to be koiveya itim l'Torah? The Shulchan Aruch even says that yeh oisay ha'es shelo ya'avirenu afim hu savar laharviach harbe. Why do you have to be koiveya itim l'Torah? By the way, the Bir Halacha asks, what do you mean be koiveya itim l'Torah? So if I'm koiveya an hour in the morning and an hour at night, I could waste the rest of the day? I could twiddle my thumbs, the rest of it I could sit there like this? Because I was koiveya itim l'Torah? If a person just sets times to learn and he wastes the rest of the time, Chafetz Chaim says it's Dvar Hashem Baza. So what am I gaining by being koiveya itim l'Torah? By the way, the Kaf HaChaim brings from the Rama Mipano that ideally, whatever time you're koiveya l'Torah, it should be the same time every day. 8 to 9, 9 to 9:30. Not different times every day. Ideally, it should be the same time every day. By the way, Chida adds, what if you're a dayan? Could you do dayanos during your kfiyas itim? Chida says you could do it, because din is like Torah, provided you don't get paid. You get paid, it doesn't count for kfiyas itim. Says the Chida, then it would come out that if you're learning and you get paid for your learning, you're allowed to take the money, but it will not count for kfiyas itim bla Torah. Why not? Why not? I'm learning in Koilel. When I was learning in Koilel 20 years ago, you know how much I made? I got from the yeshiva a whopping $80 a week. What can you do with $80 a week? You could drive home. The gas to drive home was $80. and for every kid you had, you got another $12.50 a week. Doesn't count for Kviyas Yitam HaTorah because you get a few bucks. You can't even do anything with it. There's a famous stira. The most well-known contradiction when it comes to the Yom Tov of Shavuos. We know the Rebbeinu Shalom, when he gave the Torah to Klal Yisrael, what was the response of Klal Yisrael? Kol asher dibar Hashem nasa v'nishma. We will do, and after we do, we'll hear what it says. The stira is Omer Rav Avdimi bar Chama bar Chasa Melamed shekafa HaKadosh Baruch Hu aleim esahar kegigis v'Omer lahem ematem mekablim HaTorah mutav v'im lav sham teikfu raslem frek toisvis. What do you mean nasa v'nishma? But the Rebbeinu Shalom forced us to be makabel the Torah. He took the mountain over our head, he suspended it like a barrel. He says, if you're makabel the Torah, good. Otherwise, you're dead meat. So that's Tosfos' kasha. Tosfos in Masechta Shabbos, the Dasa came in Balei Tosfos. All the Rishonim ask, was it Nasa v'Nishma or was it Kaf Aleim Har Kegigis? So Tosfos famously says that Avada Klal Yisrael was going to be makabel the Torah willingly. But what? Hashem was afraid that when we would see the Eish Hagadola, we would retreat and we would get scared. So Hashem forced us to be makabel the Torah so we wouldn't back out of it. That's what Tosfos says. The Maral famously says in at least 6 svarim. He says this in the Or Chadash. He says this in Tiferes Yisrael. He says this in the Gur Aryeh. He says this in Netzach Yisrael. Somebody sent me a recording, Rabbi Shapiro. He said he's aware of at least 6 places where the Maral writes this. I only know about 4 of them. The Maral says as follows. The Maral quotes a medrash. Now what's interesting is, this medrash that the Maral quotes, we don't have this medrash. It's not in Medrash Rabbah, it's not in Tanchuma. Even Rabbi Menachem Kasher says we don't know where this medrash is. But Nemon Aleinu, the Maral, that there was such a medrash. The Maral says, why did the Rebbeinu Shalom coerce us to be makabel the Torah? Says the medrash, because the pasuk says that if a man is ma'anes, a woman, lo yuchal l'shalcha kol yamav, he can never send her away. So the Rebbeinu Shalom forced us to be makabel the Torah so that he can never send us away. The Maral explains as follows. Anything that has to be, anything that is forced, lasts. Anything that's discretionary, ceases. Says Maral, the Rebbeinu Shalom came to Klal Yisrael. And he said, Klal Yisrael, I want to give you the Torah. You know what would have happened if we would have said, the Torah, Nasa v'Nishma, we don't even have to hear what it says in it. We're going to fulfill it, and then you could let us know what it says. You know what would have happened if the Rebbeinu Shalom would have offered us the Torah, and we would have willingly accepted it? Then we would have made the fatal mistake that we observe the Torah, and we learn the Torah because we want to. And if you think you're doing something because you want to, then in the back of your mind you think, I'm doing it because I want to, and if I don't want to, I don't have to do it, so it's really not that important. It happens to work out for me, and I know, me'ikara, I'm doing it for myself, and I'm doing it because it's so sweet, but if it would ever happen that I don't want to do it, I just wouldn't do it. And then our connection to Torah would be finite, would be limited, would be mitigated. But something, imagine you went over to a guy goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, pal, would you like to breathe? Yeah, I was thinking about it. Breathing is so geschmack. I really want to breathe. The doctor says, pal, I don't care if you want to breathe or you don't want to breathe. You need to breathe, because if you wouldn't breathe, you would be dead. So actually, I don't care if you want to breathe or not. So I take back the question, do you want to breathe? That's like asking, do you want to exist? Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think it's so sweet to exist. No, you can't ask somebody that question. You can't have such an attitude to Torah. You can't have an attitude that I learn because I like it, it's sweet, it's good for me, it's convenient, it's geschmack, it's inspiring, it's meaningful. None of that nonsense. In order for reality to exist, in order for you to exist, in order for you to thrive and be alive, we need Talmud Torah. Talmud Torah is a reality of existence. Without it, we could not exist. So it's very nice, the Rebbeinu Shalom says, you say Nasa v'nishma, and you want to accept the Torah, and you're willing to accept the Torah, but I don't care. And it doesn't matter to anybody that you want to accept the Torah. Because Torah is reality of existence. And therefore, I need to force you to be Mekabel the Torah. Because if I don't force you, you're going to think this is something that's not that important. And it's up to your discretion. This cannot be up to your discretion. Torah is reality of life. So Rav Moshe Shapiro asked, and Tosfos doesn't agree with this. Why didn't Tosfos give the answer of the Maral? When Tosfos asked the Stira, why did Hashem have to be Kaf Aleim Har Kegigis if Klal Yisrael said Nasa v'Nishma? If you look carefully at the Lashon of Tosfos, Tosfos doesn't say Klal Yisrael said Nasa v'Nishma. Tosfos says Klal Yisrael already were makdim the Nasa to the Nishma. Klal Yisrael were already mishabed themselves to the Torah. They already declared, Ribbon Shalom, you know what? You're offering us the Torah? Of course, you don't even have to tell us what it says. We're makdim the Nasa to the Nishma. We're kafa aleinu. We're forcing ourselves. So Tosfos knew the Maral, but what Tosfos is asking even after the Maral, Klal Yisrael already recognized that this cannot be left up to their discretion. So they didn't say we want it. They said, Nasa, we're going to do it. Don't even tell us what it's going to say. When a person learns, there are two dimensions taking place at the same time. Number one, there's a kiyum hamitzvah of limud haTorah. But there's an entirely different dimension. Every time a person learns Torah, they are reenacting Ma'amad Har Sinai. When you open up a Gemara, and you learn a Blat Gemara, or you learn a page of Mishnah Berurah, or you learn a Mishnah, you're not just learning Torah, you're reenacting Ma'amad Har Sinai. There's so many Gemaras in Shas that compare Limud HaTorah to the event that took place on Har Sinai. Ma, Sinai, Be'ema, Be'yira, Bereses, Uvezeya, Av Talmud Torah came. Kol HaMelamed Ben Benoi Torah, Ki'ilu, Kibla Me Har Sinai. That means when a person learns, it's not enough just to absorb the information. You need to reenact Ma'amad Har Sinai. So imagine you have a guy. You say, Rabbi Yud, you learn? I learn every second that I'm able to. And how much time is that? Sometimes it's 20 hours a day. Do you learn 20 hours a day every day? Well, in tax season, I'm very busy. And how much time do you learn then? I can't learn every day. Why not? I'm too busy. But on average, I'm good for 16 hours a day. You do it every day? Nah, sometimes, the other day, my daughter got married. I couldn't learn that day. So what you're saying is, you only learn when it's good for you, when it works out for you, when it's convenient for you. You say, Rabbi Yud, you're mekayim the mitzvah of learning Torah, but your learning is not k'nesinasai misinai. You're not reenacting Ma'amad Har Sinai. Say, really? How am I not reenacting Ma'amad Har Sinai? Klal Yisrael at Sinai, they said Nasa v'Nishma. I also say Nasa v'Nishma. I love to learn. I learn whenever I can. No. It's not enough to learn when you can. You also have to learn when you can't. Really? Why do I have to learn when I can't? Because the Rebbeinu Shalom tells Klal Yisrael, I don't care that you said Nasa v'Nishma. I have to show you that I'm kafa aleim har kegigas. I can't leave it up to your discretion. I can't have it that you only learn when it's good for you. When you don't have a small headache. Oh, I have such a headache today. Good. That's the right time to learn. I'm so thirsty. I'm so tired. I'm so stressed. I have so much anxiety. I'm so worried. That's your kafa aleim har kegigas. That's kvius itim l'Torah. It's not that I learn because it works out for me, it's convenient for me, it fits into my schedule. Kvius itim l'Torah, says Hagon Rav Moshe Shapiro. Kvius itim l'Torah is a way of reenacting the oifen with which the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us the Torah, where he says to us, even though you say nasa v'nishma, but the tzura of learning has to be in a way where even when it's not something you want, it's a reality of existence. It has to be, you're meshubid to the Torah. You have a shibud to the Torah. There has to be an aspect, an element of kafa aleim har kegigas. We know you want it. But it has to be deeper than that. There has to be a way that we show the Rebbeinu Shalom that we're commemorating and reenacting not only the Nasa v'Nishma, but the Kaf Aleim Har Kegigas as well. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah says the world will last for how many years? 6,000 years. First 2,000 years, Tohu V'Vayo. The next 2,000 years are Torah. When did the Torah start? V'yes hanefesh asher asu b'charan. How's that Torah? Because the Targum says the nefashos that Avram Avinu was meshabed lo'iraisa. Torah is when you have a shiba to it. It's sweet. Yes, it's sweet. And it's good. Ein toivel la Torah. And it's the only way it will bring out the greatness that lies within all of us. And me'ikara ki avid inish lenavshei of it. But there has to be an element where we are meshubid to the Torah. Because we have to learn in an oifen that commemorates the way the Rebbeinu Shalom gave it. Where Nasa v'Nishma was not enough, it has to show an element of Kaf Aleim Har Kegigas as well. That's the inyan of being koiveya itim la Torah. See, if you're koiveya itim la Torah, I can't learn today. You're right. But you have to do it anyway, even though you can't. That's the best time to do it. The best time is not when it's Nasa v'Nishma. The best time is when it's Kaf Aleim Har Kegigas. That reenacts the way the Torah was given me Sinai. There's another amazing element of this great mitzvah of being Koiveya Itim La Torah. I actually just saw today, we're going to take a little poll here, okay? Who says Tikkun Leil Shavuos? So the Tikkun Leil Shavuos, you say the first 3 psukim, the last 3 psukim of each Parsha, then you go on to the Zohar. They're different Oifanim. What's Tikkun Leil Shavuos? You say 3 psukim and 3 psukim. Bereshis bar Elokim, v'noyach matzachein b'nei Hashem, and that's Bereshis. Yeah, that's Bereshis. I'm a Bucky in Shas, you know? You ever see the Svarim of the Ben Ish Chai? You know, they have on the Haggadah, on the Megillahs, on the Haftarahs. Very beautiful Svarim. And each type has a different color. Some are in white, some are in red, some are purple. Anyway, I had come out all the Svarim of the Ben Ish Chai. I love the Svarim of the Ben Ish Chai. But there was a set I didn't have. It was called Ben Ish Chayil. One of the reasons I didn't have it is, it's not like I learned every sefer from the Ben Ish Chai cover to cover. I don't have room in my house. You know, every time I come home with the sefer, they're looking at me, where do you plan on putting that, you know? And this was a big set. It was an expensive set. And I had a hard time justifying getting it. But I don't know, I went to the farm store the other day and I fell for it. So I come home with this big set Ben Ish Chai. The moment I brought it into the house, every hour, on the hour, somebody's quoting the Ben Ish Chayil, Ben Ish Chayil, Ben Ish Chayil. I already saw a lot of very interesting things in the Ben Ish Chayil. One of them is the inyan of Tikkun Leil Shavuos. The Pele Yoetz says it even more, and the Kaf HaChaim quotes it. What's the inyan of Kviyos Itim La Torah? You ready for this? What's the halacha if you have 9 kosher stores and 1 treif store, and you find a piece of meat? What do you do with the meat? You have 9 kosher stores and 1 treif store. So 9 out of 10 stores are kosher. You find a piece of meat on the street, you're allowed to eat the meat. No problem. Achrei Rabim Lahatos. But if the meat is found in the place of the stores, and the treif store is kavua, the Gemara in Ksuba says, what do we say by kavua? Kol kavua kemechza amechza dami. The Gemara learns that from V'hitzilu ha'eda. Kol kavua kemechza amechza dami. Says the Pele Yoetz. V'higisa bo yoyman v'layla. You need to learn day and night. So the guy says, I'm learning 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. But that 5 minutes, from 9 to 9:05, nothing will stand in the way of those 5 minutes. And I say there at night, from 10 p.m. to 10:05, I don't care what's a vart, a l'chaim, a wedding, I won't be mavato for anything. I'm koiveya those 5 minutes. Says the Pele Yoetz, kol kavua kemechza mechza dami. So it's already, I learned half a day. And the Rebbeinu Shalom is mate klape chesed. If you learn half a day, it's like you learned the whole day. Says the Pele Yoetz, if you're koiveya itim b'yoyim u'v'layla, it's kemechza mechza dami, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is mechashiv, like you learned kol hayoim v'chol halayla, 24 hours a day, the Pele Yoetz says. The Kaf HaChaim brings it down lehalacha, the inyan of being koiveya itim la Torah. So the Ben Ish Chai says, if you're koiveya, you make a kviyas like a chazaka, the first 3 psukim, and the last 3 psukim, so it's like you did the whole parsha. He uses the same lamdas. Kol kavua, kemechza al mechza, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is mate klape chesed. But that's another inyan of kviyas itim la Torah. The inyan is that if it's set, if it's unbungeable, if you don't move it, no matter what, kol kavua kemechza al mechza dami, and Hashem is mate klape chesed. So we spoke about that Torah is bein adam la'atzmai. The Torah is a mitzvah, it's between you and yourself. The Torah helps you access the greatness in your neshama. We spoke about the sweetness of Torah. The Torah is like honey, it could transform you. It's machshar to'liyos tzaddik. But as sweet as it is, and as beneficial as it is, but we have to learn in an oifen that we're commemorating Maimon Har Sinai, that it's kafa aleim har kegigis, that's the inyan of being koiveya itim la Torah. And then you had the added bonus that if you're koiveya itim, kol kavua, kemechza mechza dami. Reb Chaim Volozhiner tells us a story of a man, he fell into a raging river. And the river was threatening to pull him under. And the guy was not a good swimmer. And he's gasping, he could barely swim. The water's pulling him down. And he sees there's something sticking out from the riverside. It's a tree. And the branch is sticking out. Says Reb Chaim Volozhiner, how are you going to hold on to that tree? You can say, well, let me try a little stunt. I'm a righty, I'm going to try with my left pinky. Nah, not when your life's on the line. I'm going to see if holding it loosely, if that will do the trick. No. You're going to hold on to that tree with every fiber of your being, because you know that's your only safety. Says Reb Chaim Volozhiner, this world is a raging river. The Tanugei Olam Hazeh, the Nisyonos HaChaim, the Taivos of Olam Hazeh. And if Reb Chaim Volozhiner said this 200 years ago, can you imagine how he would describe the river in our times? We're living in a time where the Ar Chaim HaKadosh says it's possible that before Mashiach comes, Klal Yisrael will fall below the 50th level of Tumah. So if he was describing a possibility, then it must be now. The draw of Olam Hazeh, the Tumah of Olam Hazeh is as powerful. You know, Reb Chaim Vital would speak to the Arizal. The Arizal would tell Reb Chaim Vital, you know, you're greater than Tanoim. You're greater than Tanoim. So Reb Chaim Vital would say, what do you mean I'm greater than Tanoim? You once told me I don't even come to the toenail of the Tanoim. So the Arizal said, everything is relative to the times you live in. Back in the day when the Beis HaMikdash stood and there was a lot of Kedusha, so if somebody was very great, but he wasn't so chashav b'einei Shemaim. But nowadays, the Arizal says, when the Tumah is out of control, you know how chashav you are to the Ribbon Shalom? So I ask you a very simple question. If in Sfas, 500 years ago, the Tumah was out of control, right? The Arizal is saying in Sfas, the Tumah was out of control. Well, what Tumah? What did they have? What a person could access in one split second, the entire Tzfas in 200 years couldn't even think of. If the Tumah was out of control in Tzfas 500 years ago, imagine, I don't know, maybe we're on the 500th level of Tumah. But the Rebbeinu Shem gave us, in this raging river, there's something to save our lives. There's a tree hanging over the riverbank, and that's the Eitz Chaim, and that's Torah Seinu HaKadosha. How are you going to embrace that Eitz Chaim? Well, let me check my phone, let me check the Gemara, let me call the guy back, let me make a text. How are you going to embrace that Eitz Chaim? With every fiber of your being. Because the Torah is an Eitz Chaim, but only lamachazikim ba, with both hands, and b'chol leiv, u'v'chol nefesh. Then the Torah is an Eitz Chaim, lamachazikim ba. So we should be zoicha in the zchus of coming together tonight to learn about how the Torah is adaita denavshei ka'avid, how the Torah is bein adam la'atzmai, how the Torah is machshartoi liyos tzadik. It's koyach hamesikus is machshartoi liyos tzadik. That when we learn Torah, it has to be knesinasoi misinai, to commemorate the kaf aleim har kagigas. The kvius itim la Torah is the manner with which we commemorate the kaf aleim har kagigas. And if we are koiveya itim, then kol kavua kemechza al mechza dami. It's like we're learning half the day, and then the Rebbeinu Shalom is mate klape chesed. Be'ezus Hashem, if we embrace the Eitz Chaim, we should be zoicha oirach yamim bimina usmoila oishe v'chavoid achag kosher v'sameach. Thank you very much.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.